Welcome to this demo on how to make use of Google Forms as an assessment or quizzing tool. So first things first, you need to have your Google account ready, and you should be signed in to your Google account. Then go to forms.google.com and you'll be brought to this page. So I'll start with a blank form. I'll entitle the form as Introduction to Accounting Quiz. So this is the first quiz for this course. And under the gear icon or the settings icon, go to quizzes and click on the make this a quiz toggle button. And under the options, you have there several options, and you could explore each option later. You just simply Google the meaning of each option. And I'll be using the default option with regards to releasing the grade. So I'll release the grade immediately after each submission. But say if you have an essay question and you want to manually review each of the student's response, you might want to tick or use this option instead later after manual review option. Okay, so I'll just leave the default option there and click on save. So the first few questions would most probably information regarding your students. So you need to collect their data as a means to their basic information as a means to identify their scores later on and their responses as well. So usually we collect their email address. So this is a required field. So let's just enable that one. So there you go. So it automatically makes email address a required and validated field. So that's something unique as well in the online teaching world. You need to have your students' email addresses, or your students need to have a registered email addresses with you. Otherwise, it would be really difficult for them to interact with your activities, online activities. So next would be I'll ask them their first name and their last name. You could also include complete name if you don't want to separate the first and last names. So I'll make this a required field. Google automatically reads the content of your question, so it suggests what type of answer field would be required for this question. So similarly, if I place in last name, it automatically suggests short answer as the field for this box. Okay, so you could also ask the ID number of the student. So a short answer. So if you notice, there's a validation tool here, or widget or function. So you could just remove that one if because there are some ID numbers that are not necessarily all numbers numeric, and it might confuse the system. It might not accept the answer for the ID number. So might as well remove the validation rule. So I'll add a next section for this one. So this first section would indicate basic data from your student. So their email address, first name, last name, and ID number. So the next section would appear in the next page as a next page to the first page. So this is the first page, the basic information of the student. Then the second page would be officially the quiz. So could just add quiz content. So now you could add your questions. So I've already prepared a set of questions here. So let me just copy and paste those questions into my form. By the way, you don't need to look for the save button because Google automatically saves this form into your account. So, oh, by the way, don't forget. So I just clicked on the untitled button. So it automatically suggested the title of this form, which is Intro to Accounting Quiz. That's the beauty of having online tools. So a lot of things can be automated. So the answers for this question is the options would be balance sheet, another option, income statement, and finally statement of cash flows. So you have here the type of question. It detected it to be as a multiple choice, but of course if it's not a multiple choice question, then you could always change the type of answers. Okay, so don't forget to identify which is the correct answer for this item. So the finance statement that reports the revenues. Okay, so this would be the income statement. So also assign a point. So there's one question now. So I'll just do 3 questions for this quiz. So under the accrual method. Okay, oops, sorry, that's another question. So under the accrual basis of accounting, so you could have, again, just simply copy the, so if you already have the documents for your previous assignments, this would actually be, or quizzes, this would actually be very easy because you'll just have to copy and paste. If you're not used to making use of the shortcuts like Control C and Control V, this is the best time that you become familiar with those tools. Okay, so it's a multiple choice question. So let's identify. So under the accrual basis, revenues are reported in the when goods have been delivered. Oops, sorry, I forgot to identify the number of points. So then finally, I'll just add another type of question. So here you have an identification question. So revenues minus expense equals, what do you call that? That would be, so let them answer. So you could have a short answer, and the answer key would be income or profit. So this would be 1 point. Okay, sorry, if you need to add a feedback, so add the correct answer would be income, or another correct answer would be profit. Those are acceptable answers. So mark all other answers as incorrect, otherwise the system will read other answers as correct. Okay, so we're done. If you want to add a feedback is basically a text or a prompt or a notification that will appear after the answer, or that would appear when the student will check the answers after submission. Okay, so we're done. So we're done with this quiz. So if you want your items to be required, so they cannot move on or submit unless they answer all of the question, then you need to tick all the, or mark, use the toggle button to make all of the questions as required to be answered. Okay, so let's view this one. So I'll just enter some basic information, Kevin, and I'll just add 1, 2, 3 or something like that. Then next. So this is a preview of the quiz. So I'll just randomly answer profit. Then I'll click on submit. So this is the effect of the immediate showing or correcting or grading of the quiz. It immediately shows you whether or not you passed or failed the quiz. So you have their view score. So I got 1 out of 3. So my answers are incorrect. So I only have 1 answer correct. So you could add feedback here. So if you have added a feedback here, then it will show as an additional information for these items. Okay then, so that's it for this video. I hope you gained a lot of information, and I encourage you to please try out all the functionalities of the Google Forms. And in the next video, I'll just talk about additional options and settings so that you will be able to easily create assessments using Google Forms. Okay then, see you in the next video.